Hello friends, welcome back to the Quick Python tutorial level 0. This is the third of 3 videos in the sequence, and this is the practice video. In the previous 2 videos, we built a complete program that performs a simple computation. It squared a number, and then in the video that followed that, we talked a little bit about the terminology you need to know in order to communicate ideas in programming. And now we're going to continue with this pattern, talking about some error messages you might encounter as you go forward, and give you some practice problems to think about. So you're going to make lots of mistakes. The important thing is to learn from your mistakes. You have to understand what you did wrong and understand what you did to correct the error. This can take several passes. In the beginning, so there are things called syntax errors that are the most common, but there are different types of syntax errors as well. A syntax error happens when Python can't understand a statement you've typed. For example, matters. So every function and variable name is case sensitive. If you type print with a capital P, that's very different than print with a lowercase p. And if you're looking to use the print function, you want to use that lowercase p, not the uppercase P. Statements must also be balanced, so if you have an open parenthesis, you must have a closed parenthesis, and something must be enclosed in those parentheses. Every quote has to have a closed quote, and the something must be enclosed in those quotes. So here, the parentheses encloses a string that has test in it, and the text, T-E-S-T, is enclosed in double quotes. Here, if we exchange the parentheses and the quote, you can see that, yeah, something is enclosed in quotes, but there's nothing that's enclosed in parentheses because this parentheses is part of the closed parentheses is part of the string. So that's incorrect. And you'll get a syntax error on that. So one method to avoid those kind of unbalanced statements is by always typing the parentheses or quotes in pairs and then filling in between them. So you can type print, open, close, and then put the open, close quotes inside of print, and then finally put the text you want to be in your string between those quotes. There are lots of common errors. You can use the wrong name to refer to a variable or function. You could say numbers instead of number, or get the case wrong. You can use a variable in a statement before something has been assigned to it. If you do that, Python doesn't have the variable, and then you refer to it, and it doesn't know what you're talking about. You can forget to close a parentheses or close a quote. You can open a string with an apostrophe, but then close it with a quote, and that'll cause a problem. So here's an example of where I say y equals x in the shell, and I haven't defined what x is, and so I get a name error because x hasn't been defined. So that may be an error that you get at some point. Um, y equals quote x quote minus 7. Well, here I'm trying to do something that doesn't seem to be possible. I've got a character and I'm trying to subtract the number 7 from it. So it says unsupported operand type, which is the minus sign, for stir and int. So that's not going to work out for us. So here I'm asking for to find a floating point number that's represented by some character X. Well, that can't be converted, so that gives a value error. And these are all types of syntax errors. I forgot to put in what I'm trying to multiply by 4 with here. Or here, the square brackets, there's not the thing that's in the square brackets, there's nothing enclosed by, it's a mess. It's a mess. And here, same thing. It's a mess. It's Python can't understand what you're trying to do here. Are you trying to put a character representing 7 inside of a parentheses? Well, you're kind of not doing that, and you have a closed parentheses left over. So, so there's lots of ways to make mistakes, more ways than there are to get it right. So learn from your mistakes so that you don't make as many. Most importantly, though, if you don't find this thing kind of fun or fulfilling, um, if it fills you with dread to like sit down and write code, then stop doing it and find something that makes you happy. So, a lot of people will say, well, you can make a lot of money if you learn how to program. Well, it's not for everybody. So keep that in mind as we go through these projects. So here are some small projects to try, and I'll take you through this first one here. So and I'll take you through it, um, keeping in mind our squared program here, because all of these follow the same pattern, so they all should be very similar programs. So here you're asked to ask the user for the diameter of a circle, then use that value to compute the circumference of a circle, and print the result in this format. The circumference of a circle of diameter blank is blank. So the hint, I give you a hint here, the circumference of a circle is the diameter multiplied by pi, which is 3.14. It actually has more digits than that, but 3.14 is fine. And here's some test data that you can use. So you can put in a diameter of 6 and get 18.84 back. Anyway, let's get let's look at about how we use this as a template. So if we want to use this as a template, the first thing we want to do is, by going one statement at a time, we want to comment out everything but the one statement. So what do I mean by comment out? I mean take it out. So here in the idle editor, you can actually comment out a region. So I selected everything but the first statement, and now I'll comment it out. So any line that any portion of a line that begins with a pound sign um, will not be interpreted. It will be considered to be a comment. And so I guess what we need to do is take this and we need to save it as a separate program. So I will make a folder for it, and I will call it, let's call it circle. And oops, I saved it as circle.py instead of, that's okay, instead of making a function. Because the idea is we want to continue, so I'm going to change this to circle. Um, well, I should have my version number in there. Let's go back and do this. So file, save as, instead of having circle there, I want to make a new folder and call that circle. Okay. And I want to take this, I'm going to delete that, then I'm going to go in here. Now I'm going to make my circle quote o1.py. Okay. So now I've circled o1.py and demonstrate a program that computes the circumference of a circle. And it's good practice not to go beyond 60 characters in a row, and I've got 74 here. So I'm going to split this line up like this. Demonstrate a program that computes the circumference of a circle. Okay. So this program computes the circumference of a circle. Okay. So now I can test this. And because we just made a minor modification to a program, you know this is going to work. This program computes the circumference of a circle. Okay. So what's the next step? Well, the next step is right here. We need to get the data. So in this case, instead of saying enter a number, I'm going to say enter a diameter. Okay, so that's going to be my response. And I'm going to run that. And it says enter a diameter, and I'll put in a diameter 6. Enter, and I can look at the response, which is 6. Now I can go ahead and make the number. So but instead of calling that number, I'm going to call that diameter. Okay, so now I'm going to compute a diameter from the response, run. Okay, enter a diameter, 6. And let's look at what diameter is. It should be a number. It is. So let's go on to the next statement. So now we're going to compute the result, but let's call the result circumference. And that's going to be equal to the diameter times pi, 3.14. Okay. And I can run this. Module, click OK to save. Enter the diameter, 6. What's the circumference? Circumference is 18.84. And if I go back to my instructions, diameter of 6 is 18.84. So we got that going for us. One last thing now. Print. So we're going to print, oh yeah. So 2 quotes. We're going to print the circumference of a circle of diameter of a diameter, and now we're going to print the diameter, comma, diameter, comma, is, quote, comma, and circumference. Okay. And you can make this line shorter like that. Right after the comma, you can hit enter. As long as this is in parentheses, you'll be okay. Okay, we're going to run module, okay, boom. Enter a diameter, we'll enter our 6 again, and it says circumference of a circle diameter 6 is 18.84, correctamundo. Okay, next one. If we put in 1, we should get 3.14. So run, put in 1, we get 3.14. Okay, go back. What else? If we put in 10, we should get 31.4. So run, run, put in 10, 31.40000002. That's interesting. We'll have to talk about that in another video. Okay, and the final test, 0.5, should be 1.57. Enter diameter, 0.5, and 1.57. So, there you go. So, I've showed you how to go about using your squared program as a template to turn it into another type of program that computes the circumference of a circle. And there are several others I list here, so this one also can compute the circumference of a circle, but it asks the user for a radius instead of a diameter. This one computes the area of a circle. It asks the user for a diameter. So in this case, you need to compute a radius and then the area. In this one, it asks for a radius. You needed to compute a diameter and then a circumference. And the perimeter of a rectangle, the area of a rectangle, and then the final one is a swap. So swap is a common thing that gets programmed, and the idea is that you have two variables. So here I have a variable 1, which is assigned to 27, and a variable 2 that's assigned to yes. And what you want to do is write some code here that makes variable 2 27 and variable 1 yes. So that's what we mean by a swap. And the important thing is to do this without hard coding, meaning it's not okay to say variable 1 equals yes and variable 2 equals 27, okay? Because up here, we could have defined variable 1 and variable 2 as being any two things, okay? So no hard coding. Okay, so that's it for the practice problems. Of course, computer programs do more than just solve arithmetic problems. And in the next level of videos, um, I'll write a program that will show you how to make decisions in Python, and that will be the next step up. So I hope you're learning something from this series of videos, and I look forward to making some more and taking you on a journey that takes you to a place where you feel like you're a confident Python programmer and can go out on your own. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.